We go through combine rumors and who to watch at the NFL Combine next on the Unbearable Sports Podcast.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron. Joining me, as always, my partner in crime, Mr. Johnny PayPal. PayPal, how you doing, my friend?
Doing pretty good, Brad. Doing pretty good. I am doing excellent, even doing great because the Bulls have been doing pretty darn good lately, Brad, which I've been super
Yeah.
ecstatic about because they I've been loving watching them with like their the whole new three that they got, and then they just started off the season. They have not been doing well, and then ever since Patrick Beverley, like they're letting up like 80 points a game, like they're a top 10 defense, and the team just looks a lot more like juiced up and just like, excited. They're just so exciting to watch now. So they have a back-to-back game tomorrow, so one Tuesday and one Wednesday, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit over the weekend where I'm on the side of I want them to lose. I want Bulls to lose, and you're on the side of like, hey, I just like watching them play. Yeah, we'll see what they end up doing, but it's nice to see them win. Hopefully it means more. Hopefully it means that they'll be pointed in the right direction. Hey, pal, this is not a Bull show. We are going to be covering the Chicago Bears this year, right? And we are going to be breaking down all the excitement that's going on at the scouting combine. Because Steve out there in the comments, this is a very exciting year. Yes, it is. And there were some rumors buzzing around today already at the beginning of the scouting combine. And that's why we're breaking it down today. So it didn't really seem like news, but it came in as news that the Bears are pretty much already shopping that number one pick as soon as the doors open. This is the way I picture it. I just picture like Ryan Poles strolling on in, doing the Conor McGregor walk and just saying like, all right, guys, give me your offers. Give me whatever you want. And that's really what he's got to be doing, right? That's really what's got to be going down here today. And honestly, we hear that he's trying to trade the draft picks. And PayPal, what are you feeling? Like, who do you want them to trade with? I kind of posted this out on Instagram that if they go with the Texans, it's basically a first, a second, a third, a fifth, and 2 sixths. That is seen as a fair trade, but I think that they could get more. What are you kind of hoping that they end up doing?
Yeah, I think it's hard to say a specific team, like, because I think I would love having kind of a lot of take a little bit more of a step back rather than getting a second. Like I would love to get Will Anderson but then somehow get another first round pick where we could get Jackson Smith, I can't say his name, but I'm just gonna call him Jackson Smith from the rest of the pod.
Yeah, I like that.
And just for eternity. But yeah, I think if we can somehow get that second, but then also get almost like a 14th, 15th, kind of around the lower teens to get a Jackson Smith. Because I at least that's someone I'm very high on right now. And even if it isn't him, just get kind of a later first round or an early second round. And because I think that there's a lot of talent in that kind of late first round and early second.
Yeah, I love the idea. I love the idea of trading back. I know that PayPal, we were talking about, doing more mock drafts on this show. That's definitely something that we'll be doing. And one of my favorite things to do is not have a first round pick because I feel like there's so much more depth later on in this draft that you can get and acquire. So I love the idea of the Bears trading with the Texans, even if they don't. Like, obviously, you want to get a first round pick for the following season, but even if they don't, even if it is like a first, second, third, and maybe another, I think they might have a second, third. I'm blanking on that. But
Mhm.
if you can get like some top picks, like you were saying, and like what Steve's mentioning in the comments, I love the idea of like you get that you can get more people on the roster. And the reason why I also love trading down for the number 2 pick first, everyone knows this. You could try and trade back again because now the draft starts at 2. Now
Yeah.
Texans can they want, and then the Bears just go, "Hey, Colts, sorry it didn't work around that first time, but what would you like for this?" So it's going to be interesting. Stay tuned. There's rumors out there that the Bears are going to trade it this week, or some people would be shocked if
Wow.
that they don't trade this week. It came from a name that I wasn't too familiar with. No offense to them. I retweeted it out on our Twitter page. But it was someone that appears to be at Indianapolis that was saying, "Hey, Bears might be trading it this week." Also, Reload, what's up in the comments? And he is asking about the baby. Funny story, though, actually. Funny story about the baby. I just changed this shirt because I was holding the baby, and
Yeah.
right before the show, she just pukes, spits
Oh
up
my
all over
gosh.
me. Sorry for anybody that's eating, but she just spit up all over like a maroon shirt. And I'm like, I can't be going on with just this white dripping
Yeah.
down one side of my shirt.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
had it
Brad, you are a
changed.
pretty messy eater. So, I mean, I would probably just thought it was just you
Yeah.
just eating
Ex-
some omelet or something, you know?
Oh, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, we're gonna definitely keep you up to date with what's going on though during this scouting combine. Like we said, lots of rumors buzzing around, but it's good to hear too that thankfully it seems like the rumors are going to be dead about Justin Fields being traded from the Bears. So hopefully they can just put that to rest. I did see something that I think it was an article from the Athletic saying that the Bears are interviewing and talking to the quarterbacks or like the top quarterbacks. Relax. They should do their due diligence. Like if one of the top quarterbacks ends up being amazing, we'd rather the Bears do their due diligence. They're just doing their job. Nothing to panic here. If they absolutely love someone, then yeah, but it helps drive up the price for that number 1 pick. It helps them do their due diligence. It helps them look at the quarterbacks.
Hey,
That's it.
dude, hey, that can also help with, like, negotiating that first round pick
Totally.
of being like, "Hey, like, we interviewed with some of these guys that can be the first round pick, and we see a lot of talent in these quarterbacks. We have
Yeah.
our guy, but, like, this will be your guy. You know, this is gonna be the quarterback of the future for you guys. So, like, we talked to them, we think they're great people or whatever. So, yeah,
It's supply and demand basically cuz like it I mean the good part is that there's a lot of demand outside of them. But if everyone knows that you want to trade out of that and you're trying to do everything to trade out of that, people could probably lowball you a little bit more, right? It
yeah.
depends on it's all leverage and how Poles plays this. I think he's playing it right. Let's actually go into the combine. The combine is this week. It's one of my favorite times of the year. It's actually also my wife's favorite time of the year too. She's a track person. She loves watching this with me. We just sit down, we watch this. But I want us before we break down who to watch, I just want to break down how to watch it. And I learned from different scouts that are saying when they go here, they're looking at explosiveness. They're looking for people that have that alpha dog mentality during the drills, right? Who's kind of the natural leaders out of these groups? Also, who has the skills and during the interviews, who has the character? Obviously, we're not in the interviews. So to me, when I watch it, I don't watch the things that get like a number. I mean, I watch the 40 time because it's fun. And I watch like the vertical jumps. But a lot of those things, those are numbers that just add to the athleticism score. My favorite part about this is I love treating this like a pickup game, basically. Like pickup game with the boys. You see who's running the drills out there, and you're going, I want that guy on my team, right? I want
Mhm.
these people. And yeah, it's the underwear Olympics out there. So they're not playing legit football, but this is somewhere where you get to see their true athleticism and you get to see how athletic certain people are. And you can kind of confirm what you might have seen on the tape. Are they as athletic as I thought? Are they not as athletic as I thought? That's what I'm really looking out for. I really love the drills. But PayPal, what do you watch out there? Same things
Yeah.
or different?
Yeah, I'm glad that you kinda like, because I never really actually have sat down and watched the NFL Combine, and honestly, I probably will kinda do it this year, probably just, hopefully no one's listening to it, that I work with or anything, but I'm probably gonna have, like, the Combine
We'll
just,
have it recorded. We'll have it
yeah, we'll
recorded.
have just in the background of, of my work and stuff and have it on my laptop, so while I'm doing work and stuff, I can watch it a little bit. Um, but yeah, I feel like I'm always kind of that guy that just looks at the numbers, at the end of the combine. I remember when I first got into the NFL, the Bears like draft. I really was like happy about looking at just like who had the highest like vertical, who had
Yeah.
like, and
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, whoever's the biggest athletic freak, that means they're gonna be the best. Like I was just so like I was a stupid fan, you know what I mean? I was like, there was like a safety who he broke the high, he like had like a 44-inch vertical. He
Was
broke
it
the
Melifanu? Obi Melifonwu?
yeah, Obi
Yeah.
Melifonwu,
Yeah.
yeah, and I was like, this guy's like a god, and then I don't even know what he's up to
Well
nowadays.
well, I blame Madden for that because back in the old Madden days, whenever you had the NFL draft, they didn't have, like, how good are they at certain positions. It was all based on the scouting
Oh,
combines.
yeah.
So whenever you just based it off of the 40 time, you base it off of the bench press. If they had more than 30 bench reps, I still, like, have this in my head. If they have over 30 bench reps, I go, "That's over a 90 strength."
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah,
If only it was that way.
right, exactly, and I honestly think, like, especially after seeing some of the guys that we have on our team, like, I just think of, like, Jack Sanborn or something, where
Yeah.
it's like he did not show up really in the combine. You're not like any of these numbers were staggering for him. But then just because he's such a smart player and like just watching his film or just like, if you maybe watched him like in the combine and just saw how he kind of was acting around the whole combine or something. Because there was a video popping out today I saw of George Kittle, him at the combine, and he had like a bloody nose, and it just like how he was acting with having a bloody nose
Yeah.
and how he was like performing like that one drill where they just kind of go across the field, catch each ball,
Oh,
and
yeah.
like he just it was crazy. You like look how fast and like how like confident he looked when he was doing that. And you're like, wow, like just watching that looked like a star player.
That's the big thing too, because I feel bad for the people that try so hard. Like you'll see some of these. Like everyone will
Yeah,
see
yeah.
these players. I remember one guy, he like was everything he did. You could hear him breathing. And you could hear him just like hissing. And he did nothing in the NFL. And he did great. Like he looked great, but you could tell he was trying everything. And no one could just put that much effort day in, day out with whatever they do. Yeah, it needs to look effortless. They just need to look better. And yeah, this is one small piece of it. But I remember Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin was someone was not really on the board, but you watched him during the combine and he looked so much smoother than all the other wide receivers out there. And I
Mm.
remember my wife, like I said, we watched the combine together and she goes, "Who's that guy? Like he looks so freaking good." Like he's Chris Godwin. He's not even on like the draft board for I think it was like on ESPN. He wasn't even on the draft board.
Yeah.
And now he's Chris Godwin, right? So we'll be breaking down all that after the scouting combine, but let's break down some people to watch for. So the way that this goes on Thursday, they're going to have the defensive linemen and the linebackers. Let me just say, I can't stand that they still do D line and linebackers. They need to get with the times and do defensive interiors like your T tackles, your edges, and your inside linebackers because really frustrating when you see coverage linebackers and then pass rush linebackers. They're just not the same thing. And
Mhm.
also D tackles right next to a defensive end. But then on Friday, defensive backs and special teams. Saturday, quarterbacks, wide receivers, tight ends, and Sunday, running backs and offensive linemen. They switched this up. Normally, defensive backs were on Sunday. I like kind of how they switched it up, but it's just a little different. So on Thursday, defensive linemen, linebackers, we already have down in the comments too. Steve was saying, yeah, Carter not working out. So the top player, a lot of people that wanted us to draft him, he's not going to be working out at the combine. We're not going to be seeing any of that. So unfortunately, no Carter. A PayPal. Who do you got? Like, can you give me one person that you're really excited?
Do you know the reason behind him not doing?
He wants to work out at his pro day. I think I heard that. So he's just. It's not like an injury thing.
Yeah.
But I will say, let me. Now you got me going, PayPal.
Yeah.
This is why I like Will Anderson more. Not just because of this. It sounds like if you base it off of this, then yeah, that's a little bit bad. It's just everything. Like Will Anderson was the player last year. Like he was the number one prospect last year. Jalen Carter moved up, right? You want Will Anderson has multiple years of production. Will Anderson was the leader of the defense. Will Anderson is, as far as I know, he's going to be there. Now watch tomorrow. He's going to be like, nah, not going to do this anymore. But I don't know. It just rubs you the wrong way, especially Jatiri. Especially with Carter. He also, if you watch his film, there's times that he's just out of position. Like literally linebackers show him where to be. Yet again, I'm eating steak and saying it's a little bit too dry, right? Like I'm complaining about an elite prospect. He's still an elite prospect. He's still a blue chip prospect in my mind, but I'd still be happy with him no matter what.
That's how it is though. Like with such a high draft pick, you have to be super picky. And when a guy, it's almost like I don't know, you could say it's maybe he thinks he's like, all right, I'm already going to get drafted at around 2 or 3. I don't even need to go to the combine, like
it's true. Yeah.
And that kind of rubs me the wrong way. I don't want someone that thinks he's bigger than the team. I don't want them thinking he's bigger than everyone else on the field. I want them to be with the team and be like, all right, like I gotta like work my butt off too. Like I'm not, like a different person, so yeah, maybe I'm Team Will Anderson. I was always Jalen Carter, but
there we go. Welcome to the team. No, like we said, no matter who it is, we're going to be team them if we end up getting one. There's also a rumor out there too that the Bears, some people are saying the Bears are not wanting to leave the 4th pick or the 5th pick. So it really does. That's kind of the big rumor out there as well. Yet again, there's a reason why they're called rumors. So someone hears something, someone reports it. But yeah, PayPal. So just give me a player that you have out of these defensive linemen and linebackers that you're watching.
Yeah, the defensive linemen. Will Anderson is an obvious one. Like he's obviously going to be up there. Like he's just like you're talking about. He has multiple years of production, and something I really want to see from him is like the overall physicality of him. Of like not just he's not just someone that's strong, but then also he's like fast too. I want to see his speed too.
Yeah,
because he's one of those guys. He's not just huge. He's both. So I'm excited to see, and too, just how he matches up against other players, honestly, just side by side. See how people treat him, kind of see if he has that confidence in the combine.
Nice. Yeah. I'll stick with like defensive ends. Just one person that I have at the top of my list. And I realized this when I put this together, that the reason why he's at the top of my list is because when I watch his tape, I just don't see it. And there's a lot of people that love this guy. And that's Keon White out of Georgia Tech. He's a defensive end, 6'5", 286. I comped him to Cam Jordan, or I guess Can Jordan on my graphic. But Cam Jordan, to me, I only have that because of the size comparable. He's a big guy, former tight end, and looked great at the Senior Bowl. A lot of people were saying people loved him. I just don't see it on the tape. And that's why I want to see this freak athlete that everybody's kind of raving about, because it seems like he's a project. I just want to see it. It's more just curiosity for me. He can play anywhere with his size. I want to see what he weighs in at. And I want to see just overall athletically, how does he compare? Does he have some speed and quickness? Because I just didn't really see that on tape, and it might have just been because of his lack of his pass rush moves.
Mhm.
So that's someone who I have. PayPal, do you have any other like defensive ends? Otherwise, I have a
Yeah.
couple.
Yeah, I have a couple as well. Another one. This is actually a guy that I talked about when we were kind of looking at our prospects for the Senior Bowl. Saika Ika. He's someone I think he's gonna be. You're gonna see him on social media on Thursday of his 40 time. People are gonna be like seeing this guy and be like, "How is
Okay.
this guy running a force like a 4.8 or something?"
Okay.
So I'm excited to see how quick this guy is for his size, and seeing this big boy run. Um, and I guess too, yeah, his feet is his weakness. So like, will he be able to, move, like laterally and stuff like that? But I'm just excited to see this huge guy in the combine.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I always like the bigger guys. Yeah, seeing who can run out there. That'll be an interesting one for sure. I like that. And
Mhm.
also too, just like how big is he actually? Right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
how big is he? Because we said, like, yeah, he's got the quickness. We just got to see it. But I'm actually gonna go. I'm gonna do two more defensive ends just real quick. One of them is another reason because I didn't really see it on tape. Andre Carter, the second out of Army, defensive end. He should he should do well physically. Like he's a physical freak, like we've mentioned. I want to see it, right? I want to see it out there. He always seemed very upright. Like we said, he just seemed like he seems like the big kid. Like
Mm,
he's not technically sound. He doesn't have the bend. And I want to see him on the hoop drill when they run around and they have to like actually do the bend. I want to see if he's got any of that because he had a
yeah.
bad Senior Bowl, and hopefully he can just showcase a little bit more of his physical tools. I want to see that. And the next person, too, just kind of rounding out the defensive ends, I want to see Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech. Really bad. Tyree Wilson is someone who, if the Bears trade out of the fourth pick or the fifth pick, Tyree Wilson, defensive end, Texas Tech, is right there. And a lot of people, a lot of fans of the show actually also like Tyree Wilson more than even Will Anderson. So,
Hmm.
and there's also some rumors too that we saw this last year with Hutchinson. Hutchinson, arguably the better football player, went second, while who was it? Carter, the guy that ended up going out of Georgia,
Yeah.
ended up going first because of his athleticism. Wilson is that crazy athlete and has some decent production as well. So that's someone that I'm going to be looking at because, yeah, when you see Anderson and then you see Wilson, yeah, they'll be on opposite ends of the spectrum, but it'll be really good to see them together. So that's someone who I'm looking at. But PayPal, any more defensive linemen you got?
Yeah, I have two. These are kind of like small little ones. Um, Obviously, I gotta mention my boy Keanu Benton. I mean,
I knew you
he's
would.
he's just my
I
boy
knew
out of
you would.
Wisconsin. Yeah,
Yep,
you
I
even
knew
have the
you would.
graphic. Yeah, I just have to mention him. Like, yeah, his big critique is just he's not like super fast or like has that quickness. But I want to see if it translate in the combine or like see if he is actually like super slow like people are saying like is Ben bad or just is he really lacking that quickness and because he looks pretty good on film when I watched him from Wisconsin. Um but yeah, and he'd be a guy that yeah he was supposed to get picked in like the fifth round and now he's dropping all the way from the third just from how he's turning heads and everything, so I'm excited for him.
I like that. And PayPal, all the defensive tackles you talk about, it's all strength. Like
Yeah, yeah,
you love
right.
the strength. You like Ika, you like Benton. I'm going to bring up Mozzie Smith out of Michigan. He's someone that is projected to
Okay.
go in the second, and he's another big, powerful person. So I want to see how does he compare it. Like we said, how does he compare against Benton? How does he compare against Ika? Very big prospects. Benton isn't as physically like 350. He's going to weigh at
Mhm.
315, but they're all big people. How do they move compared to each other? I want to bring up, I only have one other person on the defensive line, and that is Kalijah Cansey. Kalijah Cansey, the comp, Aaron Donald. It's very, very rich, but there was no other comp really out there. He's 6 foot, 280. He might even be 5'11, people are saying. He's a thin guy, even though his comp is Aaron Donald. He's not as dominant, but he was still a dominant player. Elite first step, 8 sacks last year, 9 the year before, dominant at the defensive tackle spot. What's his actual size? And also, I really want to see him because, so first off, the size. And secondly, I just want to see how fast he is. Like, he's just going to be fun to watch. And I hope that he's next to all these other big boys, all these other D tackles, because you're going to be like, who the heck is that freak of nature? Like what we saw with Aaron Donald.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a good one, Brad. And this is kind of like another freak of nature one. I kind of been seeing, like, he was kind of popping up on Instagram. It's D tackle Noah Shannon from Iowa. I don't know if you've seen him at all.
No, I haven't.
People are just saying how massive he is. Like, his teammates just are complimenting, but it's like the dude is like a Greek god at like 285 pounds. And he's got a 6-pack. He's absolutely chiseled, like just straight muscle at 285. So that's kind of a guy I actually haven't really watched him play. But I'm just interested to see, like, is he this physical freak? And maybe then I'll just start watching his, film and being, okay, is this an actual guy to look for? So,
yeah. So that's the D lineman, linebackers, right? And actually, this is where, like, it's frustrating. I think that Will Anderson is technically lining up with the linebackers rather than D line. It's like, just get with the times, NFL. Like, seriously, I was watching NFL Network and they use the term edge and they use the term defensive interiors. It's like, just change that over. And now typically D tackles work out together, but it's still like the linebackers are where you bug me because there's a lot of differences with these linebackers. But PayPal, I'll start this off with one of my boys that I'm watching. And really, this was like my main one that I want to see. And that's Jack Campbell, the linebacker out of Iowa. And big reason, this guy is projected to go second or third round if we can get some extra picks, most likely when we trade back. This could be a great person that we pick up with our third round pick. He's a true cover 2 middle linebacker. He's got the leadership. He's got the coverage skills. Like we said, 236 receiving yards allowed on 416 coverage snaps. Insane. And the biggest downside is that he's patient, right? He's patient. That is perfect for an Eberflus system. That's what he wants his linebackers to do. I think he is literally a perfect scheme fit for the Chicago Bears at the middle linebacker position. His biggest weakness is his range. They do a lot of drills when you have to run sideline to sideline. That's why, to me, he's like the person I'm watching, Jack Campbell out of Iowa, because I want to see, does his range really falter when he's going sideline to sideline, right? Because people get nervous about him in man-to-man coverage, covering slots. That's what I'm really going to be looking out for out there.
Yeah, that's perfect. And I'm not gonna lie, Brett, for linebackers, I just had Will Anderson just because I personally was like, we'll get one in the draft in free agency. So
That's a good point.
I'm like, I'm not even gonna really watch the linebackers when I, besides Will Anderson, now that he's not even included anything else, but it's like I'm strictly defensive line. And then I'm not even going to watch the cornerbacks, honestly, too, because we don't need defensive backs. But
we're getting Bobby Okereke. We already know that. We already know he's already guaranteed to the Bears. We got him. And I will say this, though, just about watching the linebackers. This year, the linebacker class is really up in the air because you have Drew Sanders. You have Drew Sanders out of Arkansas, Trenton Simpson out of Clemson. First off, Trenton Simpson out of Clemson is probably going to run in the 4.3s. No joke at linebacker. He's going to turn a lot of heads, but here's where I get a little frustrated is like Sanders, Simpson. There's also I'm blanking on him out of Cincinnati, Ivan Pace Jr. There's a lot of linebackers that are used as basically blitzers, and that's where they excel. Those guys really do well at the line of scrimmage, not what we want out of a 4-3 linebacker. And it's not even like they're an outside linebacker in a 3-4. They're just made for that attacking system. They're not really good scheme fits for the Bears. That's where I kind of stand away. But I will say he's not on my list. But since you don't have any linebackers, Overshown out of Texas.
I was about to say, I was like, I actually do have one now, and it's gonna be Overshown.
I want to see Overshown. I want to see his speed. I want to see his athleticism. He should be a good weak side linebacker, and that's someone I want to look out for. And I guess too, I'm looking at the list. And Noah Sewell out of Oregon will be really interesting to see. Penei Sewell's younger brother, very strong, very powerful, but doesn't have a lot of speed. That's why, to me, someone to look out for at that linebacker position. Like we said, this is the underwear Olympics. We got to see the speed. We got to see the quickness out there. And Noah Sewell, we'll see if he can actually bring it. But PayPal, that's the first day. That's Thursday. Let's go on over to Friday to see what we can do. So Friday, defensive backs and special teams normally reserved for Sunday, moving it up to Friday, I think because it's not as interesting as other things. I don't have a lot of people that I'm looking out for. PayPal, do you have any defensive backs that you're really looking for?
Defensive backs, and if you will listen to other shows, I am very against the Bears kind of getting defensive backs. I think we have everything we need from defensive backs. Like, if we draft one, I will be kind of surprised just because we do already have the special teamers. If we are looking for, a 6th rounder, it seems like we kind of get a 6th rounder, 7th rounder, like defensive back every year. But we kind of already have those guys. We got Blackwell. We got DHC at special teams. We got all these kind of, low paying guys that we can kind of have as backups. Like, I don't think any of these guys are going to step in and really be, a cornerback one for us. Because why would we spend a 1st round pick on any of these guys? So that's where we'll probably have to look at later rounds. But
yeah, I agree with you there. And also, like we were joking about, we're gonna sign one in free agency. We're gonna sign.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, James Bradbury. Yeah, we got like a proven guy. There's no use in spending a 1st round, but
for real, it'll be interesting to see what they wind up doing. And we mentioned it too. There might be some cap casualties that they end up picking up as well. I will just say this: Sidney Brown out of Illinois, just because this is a Chicago podcast. Sidney Brown is a very good athlete. Definitely someone to keep an eye out for. From a cornerback perspective, I just really had one that I'm looking at, and that's Keely Ringo out of Georgia. Big reason Keely Ringo was seen as the number 1 corner at the beginning of the draft process. Without doing anything, he's dropped. And now some people have him in the 4th. Some people have him in the 3rd. He's 6'2", 210. He's just the big corner. That's the thing. He's a big physical corner. Watching the tape, I never saw that 1st round type of buzz. It's really that athleticism. He's a big guy. Can he show off some of that speed at the cornerback position? But yeah, declared as a redshirt sophomore. And we'll see if he can make some money this weekend. Like we said, he's an athlete. That's why, to me, he's going to be one of the top people. It will be interesting, though, too, to see some of these cornerbacks because they need to kind of iron out where everybody's going to be later on in some of the rounds. But yeah, the Bears might not even need a corner. I think that they would be good to at least draft one, depending on what they want to do with Jalen Johnson. So yeah, that's Friday. I kind of wish Friday was Thursday, just because I know that the D linemen, linebackers aren't that sexy. Defensive backs, it's all about the drills. Then you go into Saturday. And Saturday, this is when you get the free trial for Fubo TV, for YouTube TV, because you have to watch this. This is when it's fun. Quarterbacks, wide receivers, tight ends on Saturday. And PayPal, even though that the Bears should not draft a quarterback, there's a lot of buzz going on with Anthony Richardson And
Yep.
I watched Anthony Richardson today, and legit, I think to myself, I go, this guy could become Justin Fields if he's lucky. Like,
Yeah.
like you see him and you're like, this guy could be Justin Fields, but we already have Justin Fields. And there's a lot
Right.
of rumors out there that it looks like Richardson is now becoming a big favorite. Like, I think it's a
Mhm.
1 in 10 right now at Vegas. And yeah, Bryce Young might drop. We got to see how big Bryce Young is. We got to see Richardson, Levis. Are I feel like just overall as Bears fans, we just need to watch these quarterbacks. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it'd be fun just to watch him. Yeah, I mean, like, I think it'd be kind of fun to try to find a quarterback, be like, "Hey, this could be, like, Justin Fields' backup," you know? Because
Yeah.
personally,
It's
there's
yeah.
not really like there's not really like a old like it's kind of that fine line. I'm kind of split between we get a veteran again and kind of have that as our backup quarterback, but then because it's nice having that guy with knowledge. But now that Justin Fields is already getting kind of, you know, older and like more knowledgeable, like I don't think he really needs that anymore. So we could go on and get like a guy that say actually has some legs and has a similar play style as Justin Fields. So I'm kind of looking honestly for like obviously it'd be fun to watch Richardson uh and see if he's kind of balling out and stuff. But I'm kind of seeing if there's a guy that doesn't look too half bad and we could get maybe in like the fifth round or sixth round or something and just back up Justin Fields.
It's a really good point. So yeah, like if I'm a Bears fan, which I am, I don't know where I was going with that, but like yeah, as Bears fans, we need to be rooting for Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Will Levis. I hope Bryce Young comes in with his high-heeled shoes and goes, "Listen, I'm not 5'10". I hope he's been having Transparent Labs supplements, link in the description if you want to work out and look your best. If he doesn't weigh in over 200 pounds, he probably isn't using it, and
hmm
I will say though, because he is just so thin, he's so small. I hope that they do well because then that means the Bears, our pick means even more, right? So I hope that they're throwing it on the dime. You brought up a good point. Some people for us to look out for. Hendon Hooker out of Tennessee. I don't think he's going to be participating. He had a season-ending injury, but he's a quicker quarterback. He's a good runner at the quarterback position. Might drop because of those injury concerns and not being able to essentially start. Dorian Thompson Robinson out of UCLA. He's a running quarterback. Yet again, a lot of times you want to match your quarterback with your starting quarterback with your backup. Now the big question is running going to be a part of this game or is it not? Right?
hmm
Or do you just want someone that can run so they kind of match a little bit that way, right? Like a Max Duggan out of TCU, he can run if he wants to, but he's more of a pocket passer than, say, a Malik Cunningham out of Louisville. But what's good is there are a handful of running quarterbacks out there, like that I just named, that might be good for us to at least watch and see essentially how they end up playing. Tanner McKee, though, out of Stanford, will be someone to watch too. I know PFF loves him. They literally have him as a first round quarterback. And I'm looking at Lance Zerloin's ratings right now, and they have him as a 5.8, and he's literally the third worst quarterback that's going to be at the combine. Like, there's a huge amount of variance. It's going to be interesting to see where he's at. But PayPal, let's go to the Bane ones. Wide receivers, tight ends.
Yes, let's do
Who
it.
you got? Who you got? This is what people want to see.
So
Who you got?
obviously, I have to, and this is why I said it in the beginning of the show. I'm just saying Jackson Smith. I'm just saying Jackson Smith. Sorry if I'm leaving out his like mom's last name or dad's last name, whoever that is. But I'm just gonna Jackson Smith. We gotta. I want to see if he kind of has that top tier speed. Does he still look fast compared to these other receivers, or is he gonna kind of bomb it? I think he's not gonna have. Personally, my prediction is he's not gonna, be running a 4.3 or whatever, but he's gonna be running still pretty high in like 4.4, 4.5, where I would still be happy with, because he is a smart receiver. And ever since that interview where Justin Fields was talking about we need to get him, I'm all aboard. Give Justin his guy. Um, and I'm rooting through this guy to do well in the combine no matter what.
Yeah, yeah. And also, too, just little news Steve saying Young will not throw at the combine, doesn't want to stand next to the other three. That makes sense. And also, that's the thing. A lot of people probably just want to throw at the combine, like, or at the pro day, right? So that it's their receivers, their controlled environment, and then they can throw a beautiful bomb like Zach Wilson did and go number 2 overall. But yeah,
Yeah.
Jackson Smith and Jigba was one of mine for all the reasons that you brought up. Kind of a similar person as well. Rashee Rice is someone that I have out of SMU. A bad Senior Bowl week, and not a lot of people liked him out there. He's someone that I really did enjoy his film. I had him in the second round. Chances are he's going to go right now, third, fourth, which is crazy to say. He's 6'3", 206, plays very well, dominant 1,355 receiving yards and 10 touchdowns last year. Very good. Just an absolute dog, can block. I just want to see, does he have that speed? How does he look? Does he run crisp routes when he's running out there? So to me, Rashee Rice is definitely someone that I'm looking out for.
Yeah, and yeah, I haven't my other guy, and this is kind of another one of those guys I didn't know too much about, but Zay, I don't know if you've been hearing about Zay Flowers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how he's gained
That's a
13
good one.
pounds of muscle, for combine. So like, everyone's thinking he's undersized at 170, and then he just magically just comes in with 13 pounds of muscle, got the body armor on. Probably, he probably hit the transparent labs, got some of that
Better believe it.
pre-work. He probably got some pre-workout. Probably got that that bulk stuff that you can get where it's like 1,000 calories per scoop or whatever.
Oh, yeah, the mass gainer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the mass gainer. Probably used some of that stuff and got yoked. And I guess with that does he still have that speed? Like, will he be kind of slower than he looked like on tape? But he'll be benching more that's for sure.
Totally. Yeah, totally.
If he does bench.
I like that. But Zay Flowers is a good one too, because a lot of people loved him. I didn't hear much out of I think it was the Shrine Bowl that he was playing at. And it's like, why wasn't he bigger, right? As a first round prospect, looks really good on tape. Why didn't we hear more? So I really like that one. And yeah, so I have a couple wide receivers too that I'll just rattle off. Quentin Johnston, the wide receiver out of TCU, yet again, was seen as a top 10 wide receiver. Now he's dropping out. A lot of Kevin White vibes. What does he look like when he's running routes? How is he catching that ball? And it'll be nice to see him against everybody. But he has pterodactyl arms, like freak of nature athletically. It'll be really fun to watch him. Another player, probably the 2 fastest guys out there. Jalen Hyatt, I want to see how fast he runs. Wide receiver out of Tennessee. Very fast. But PayPal, I have this in the thumbnail, which you probably didn't see. I think this guy might be the fastest wide receiver there, and nobody's talking about him. Tyler Scott out of Cincinnati is fast. He's got when you see him run routes, and this is the big thing that I want to see. When he runs routes, he doesn't look that fast. But when he gets the ball in his hands, his yak ability, his yards after the catch is freaking nuts. He is insanely fast. He's built like a running back, so he's a little closer to the ground, and just a thicker player overall versus a Jalen Hyatt. I really, really want to see how he plays. He does catch the ball better, I'd say, than Hyatt at the catch point. So I think Scott is really going to be someone to watch out for. And a lot of people will probably be like, he's going to run in the 4.3s for sure.
Is that like Tyreek Hill out there or something?
He does actually remind me, not like as fast as Tyreek Hill, but he kind of reminds me of like an off-brand light version of Tyreek Hill, where he's that smaller, but he wins with speed, but he can still get up there and catch that ball. So Tyler Scott, definitely someone who's going to open a lot of eyes out there. He's not a late round guy. He's someone that you could probably get in the 3rd round, maybe, or might have to get him in the 2nd, depending on how he plays. But any other wideouts that you got out there?
Yeah, I just have one more, just a quick one. I had to say Cedric Tillman again. I want to see if he kind of has that speed. I know that's kind of his big knock. Like he's got a great catch radius. He's a big receiver, really tall, but he just didn't have that like burst that everyone was kind of talking about. So will he be able to kind of earn that? He does have the burst, even though he doesn't play with it necessarily sometimes. So yeah, I just want to kind of see that.
Well, cool. And let's go over to tight ends. And PayPal, I have 2 tight ends, and
yeah, I got none up there.
0.
I got 0 up there, Brad. There are some big boy tight ends though in this draft.
This is what's so hard because like Kmet, I like that he's putting it together. I've been a critic of Kmet, but I love he was one of the better tight ends last year. He really was.
Oh yeah.
With his blocking ability, super underrated as a blocker, looked good and reliable as a pass catcher, which is great. But we could use a tight end, right? Like we could use a second tight end. And I heard Daniel Jeremiah, who's the lead draft analyst at the NFL Network, say this is the deepest draft he's ever seen at tight end. And I 100% agree. There's so many good tight ends. The Bears would benefit. And yet again, this is where you're like, the more draft picks we can get in the second and the third, the better.
Yeah,
because there's Dalton Kincaid out of Utah, great tight end. Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame, seen as one of the most well-rounded tight ends out there. But the people I'm looking out for, Luke Musgrave, we talked about him before, Oregon State tight end, 6'6", 250. People that saw him at the Senior Bowl, they're like, this guy has it. This guy has all the athletic ability. I compare him to Dallas Goedert. A lot of people compare him to Travis Kelce. People love his athleticism, even though he only played 2 games. I want to see how big of a freak of nature is he? Because when I turned on the tape, I didn't see this Hall of Fame tight end. Not saying he's bad, but I just didn't see him as a first-round tight end like a lot of people are framing him up there. So show me your athleticism. I want to see that. But someone who we haven't talked about that can go in the second and third round that is coming from tight end university, Sam Laporta, the tight end out of Iowa. Iowa has produced the best tight ends in the league, and they just keep churning out more and more and more. Sam Laporta, 6'4", about 250, projected to go second and third, former wide receiver. And here's what's really interesting is he is phenomenal after the catch. His biggest strength, he catches the ball, he can break tackles, he can score a touchdown. But he sucks at the catch point. So I want to see when they lob him the ball, is he trying to catch it at his chest or is he trying to go up for it? And also, I want to see how good of an athlete he is compared to everyone because he's fast. He lined up 65 snaps out wide last year for Iowa, was by far their leading receiver. He is a wide receiver in a tight end body, and just want to see his feet in some of the blocking drills. Not like he's going against actual people and he's actually blocking, but you just want to see, does he have at least the fundamentals? And then hopefully you can teach him a little bit more. But really, he's going to be someone that I think can kind of put on a show and someone that really hasn't been talked a lot about, but someone that can go in that third round and give you a very good number 2 option next to Cole Kmet, and someone who can really be a mismatch weapon on the outside and in the slot.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. It's kind of baseline. It's like, okay, we have Cole Kmet, but thinking, I mean, again, it reminds me of the quarterbacks. It's like, yeah, we don't need a quarterback, but if we're able to get kind of like a backup and kind of build towards the future, it all starts now of this is now we can just start building, get more young talent for us. And yeah, just hopefully we get all 30, 31, 30 picks in the second round. Because there's a lot of guys in the second round where it's like these guys could be steals of the draft.
Exactly. And I want to say too, if the Bears end up drafting a tight end second, or in the second, in the third, right? To me, it's not, I know we're going to hear Kmet's finished, right?
Yep.
But you're planning for the future. We know this. Tight end is the hardest position to learn. because it takes them multiple years. Even like a Hawkinson, someone seen as pro ready right out the jump, did not do well his rookie season, then ended up having a better season his second year. Tight ends don't do well their rookie years. They need multiple years. I think it's wise to at least get someone. And also, if you can run two tight ends, do it. It's a mismatch, right? If
Mm-hmm.
they're good, you're running with mismatches. It's a position, yeah, you draft the best player available, you draft the talent because that can turn into something. But PayPal, finally, the last day of the scouting combine, Sunday, it is the running backs and offensive linemen. Probably yet again, we got to see what ends up happening with free agency. But really, for this, I'm looking at a lot of running backs because the running back position, as for right now, we have to assume that Monty's not going to be back because
Mm-hmm.
he hasn't been re-signed. So let's look at these running backs, just like what Ryan Poles would be doing. And so, who do you got as a running back out there?
We should just draft at least like one running back just to kind of
Agreed.
test them out. They're cheap. Get them out there. We did it with Tristan Ebner. Just try him out. So I think we probably might have the same list with this guy, but Rashawn Johnson, we didn't get to see him in the Senior Bowl. He wouldn't be in the Senior Bowl, or would he? No, he would be in the Senior Bowl, but or in the combine. But yeah, I'm excited to see him. Just kind of actually see him running out there, and unlike in the Senior Bowl where we were not able to see him. So I want to see his power. I want to see his speed, just how he is, all around.
I like that. I like that. And we got some comments out there. Yeah. So, also just going back to tight ends, Brian Williams, just want to call this out, likes Washington from Georgia. That is a very and that's where there's also differences with like these tight ends. Washington, we didn't even touch on 6'7", 270. This dude, like people were joking. They're like, can he line up with the offensive lineman? Because they're like, this guy is an offensive lineman playing tight end. So that's a very good call. Big guy, can he run with a lot of these tight ends? I love that one. But yeah, let's go into let me see some of these other running backs that I got out there. I want to see Devon Archain or a chain. He's out of Texas A&M. He is a sprinter, so he is going to just blow the doors off the 40. So that's someone for me, definitely I'm looking out for. I think that is the guy that I think is going to just absolutely dominate. I don't love him, but think about kind of like a Chris Johnson a little bit, but he's just a little bit thinner. Just a very,
Okay.
very fast, straight line guy out there. But PayPal, who you got? Who you got?
Hey, I don't have the thing with running backs is it's kind of fun going in there. It's like how, your wife, it's like, hey, like going out there and she has no knowledge of any of these people.
It's very true.
But like just kind of looking at these guys and having no bias whatsoever. Because, people say with Roshan Johnson, it's like, hey, he didn't start, he was behind someone. So that's why he's falling. But he could look like one of the best running backs out there. Or, these guys that people could be like, yeah, they're only a 5th round, 7th round pick. They couldn't be drafted, but then they'll look good out there. So I'm kind of free winging in the running backs, honestly.
Okay, so I'll rattle some running backs off then for sure. So because Brian's asking like, do we bring back Monty? I still don't think I don't. I think that we see what running back talent is out there, right? But it's such a difficult thing because it seems like I think that Poles ultimately says this is how much I'm going to pay you, and that's it. And I think that's where we've seen him do this with Roquan Smith, where linebacker is seen as a not non-premium position, and he said, "You're worth this," right? So I think that he's going to do something very similar ultimately. But running backs, I have Zach Charbonnet out of UCLA. Didn't mean to rhyme there, but he's someone that like reminds me of AJ Dillon, a big guy. I want to see the speed. I want to see the agility out there from him. Roshan Johnson, he banged up his hand. He had to get surgery on his hand. I want to see, is he going to be running out there? Someone I absolutely love. He has one of the highest broken tackle rates out there. very, very good. I think that a lot of people are sleeping on him. For colleges, I love watching Texas, and so he's someone that I've seen a lot of, and he's been in the shadow of Bijan for forever. So I think
Mhm.
Roshan Johnson is definitely someone I'm looking out for, but also some other people. Deuce Vaughn out of Kansas State. Think of him as a Tariq Cohen 2.0. Very small, probably gonna be 5'6", but I just want to see him run out there because he's just so much fun to watch. Not saying let's draft him, but I just want to have fun watching him run because the dude is quick, the dude is fast. Tyjae Spears out of Tulane is someone who really turned a lot of heads at the Senior Bowl. Someone that we could get in the 4th round potentially that could be a steal at that running back position. And last but not least, Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs, we're not going to get Bijan unless we do trade and get multiple first rounds. That'd be awesome. Even though like Bijan just does it all at the running back position. Jahmyr Gibbs, he's Dalvin Cook. So is he going to run a 40 time like Dalvin Cook? Because he's blazing fast, and Dalvin Cook didn't run a good 40 time. I think Jahmyr Gibbs should be able to run a good 40 time and also really show some polish as a pass catching running back. He can do it all. And I think that Gibbs, I really like out there. So lots of running backs, but PayPal, no matter if you're looking at one running back or doing the U model of just watching them all, they're fun. They're fun to watch, and you can definitely see who has the feet and just who's not getting it out there. But PayPal, do you at least have some offensive linemen? I feel like you would. I feel like there's at least one.
Yeah, I think the one is I think everyone's gonna be watching this guy out there, to be honest. And yep, Dewan Jones. I mean, this guy, he's an absolute behemoth. Like another guy, like we wanted to see him more on the Senior Bowl, did not even, he wanted to participate or what. I forgot what was he injured? He got injured. He got a concussion during the Senior Bowl, like during the practice, so he didn't actually play. But I mean, this is one of those guys. If we can somehow, if we, get a lot of those early second rounds, late first rounds, this would be a perfect guy to get. Like 375, and he's 6'8". Like he's an absolute monster. So I'm just expecting just to see just how big he is compared to everyone, and just is he able to kind of be, does he have those twinkle toes? Like, is he kind of light on his feet for being a bigger guy? Because his size is not a question. It's just can he be quick on his feet and kind of defend these quicker pass rushers in the NFL?
Yeah, and he's on my list too. Dewan Jones, huge. And does he see what happened to like a Orlando Brown Jr. where he had such a bad combine, right? What does his agent think? I think he's a better athlete. So yeah, it'll be definitely interesting. Is he going to be able to participate out there? And someone that I'm looking out for as well on the offensive lineman, PayPal, you can just point to your Wisconsin flag right now. Joe Tippmann. Joe Tippmann out of Wisconsin, the center/guard. He's someone that is on Bruce Feldman's freak list for a reason. This guy, even though that he's not 380 pounds, this guy's 6'7", 300, like 310. This guy is a freak when it comes to pulling. He's got great speed. He's got great agility. I think he's going to be the first place finisher in the 3-cone. He's that type of a quick athlete at the center position. And I just want to see him out there too, because when he was out in space, he was different. Now, he's definitely not a perfect prospect. Watching his tape, he was on the ground a little bit. He becomes a little bit upright sometimes, but I just want to see what he can do at that quickness, because that was my favorite part of his film, and that's what I want to see out there. PayPal, got some more?
Hey, the one guy I'm kind of looking at, is it Michael Schmitz? That's the guy that,
I have him too. John Michael Schmitz.
He'd be kind of fun to see. I mean, that's one of those centers. He's kind of the number one center guy. He would be kind of fun to look at, just see how he is out there and see his size comparison compared to the other centers and everything.
I like that. There's questions about his speed too, so definitely would be nice to see just his overall quickness. Yeah, how does he compare? He's on my list too. My last one, I don't know if you have any more. I had Jalen Duncan. I didn't really like his tape, but he's just someone he's probably going to run the fastest 40 time. He's out of
Mhm.
Maryland, offensive tackle, left tackle, just crazy athlete at the tackle position. Not from not from a size perspective, but more from the speed and the quickness. So that's why I just want to see what can he do. And I think that he's going to turn some heads with just his numbers. But then people are going to open up the tape and be like, okay, he got beat a lot.
Mhm.
And is this a coachable moment or is this just who he is? Right. But PayPal, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be really good. Yeah, but I'm looking through a lot of the comments. We have a lot of great comments. I know our Will was saying Washington wants the number 1 pick. Maybe we ask for Deron Payne because also I don't know if you saw this too. People are saying Deron Payne is as good as like he's getting tagged. Like he's getting
Yeah,
tagged for
that's
sure.
yeah.
People are pretty much saying so they could do a tag and trade and we end up getting Deron Payne. So that would be a good option. And also,
Mhm.
it's a smart option for Washington, too, to be like, hey, here you go. We tagged him. I can trade him out to you and then
Hey,
potentially be like, here's Payne, a first next year, probably 2 first because they're like kind of in the middle. So
yeah. And they just got rid of Carson Wentz, so they're
it did.
definitely like, hey, we're looking for a quarterback. We're off him. Like Taylor Heineke, I think that he's just kind of there for backup. Like they don't really know where he's gonna be. So yeah, that would be awesome. And honestly, like I think like I'm watching it more this year than I probably have ever just because and I think other people should just because like this is huge for us and
It
knowing
is.
how Ryan Poles was last year where he's going to get a lot of picks out of that number 1 pick. We're going to start with what is it? We have 8 picks, I think, or
I think so. It sounds about right.
yeah, I
8 or
think we have
7.
8 or 7. Um but we're gonna be in the double digits. I can almost promise you that. I think we're gonna have like 10 or 11 picks for this draft at least. Just kind of how Poles rolls, and I think he's gonna just trade down a bunch.
Yeah, and I'm right there with Brian in the comments. Like, I want out of the top 10. Even though that, like, yet again, I like Anderson, I like Carter.
I'm the same way.
We
I'm the same way.
like if you keep trading down, you get like you can set up your future like
Yep.
crazy. And like
Yep.
how much like I like Will Anderson and Carter are they're blue chip prospects, right? They mean that they're like some of the most certain that you can get on a prospect.
But the
Man,
value of that pick compared to like,
yeah.
you could get multiple seconds or, drop
Yeah, you
down.
get your
Yeah.
boy Siaki Ika.
Yeah, be
Like
psyched.
you can get
Brian knows what he's talking about. Let's
that's the
go.
like, oh man, I really we got to do a mock draft show because I want to show some of the mock drafts that I do out there where like I literally trade where it's we don't draft in the first round, but it's still an incredible draft because you get like 3 first rounders for the following seasons and then you draft
Mhm.
like 10 people in the second and in the third. And
Yeah.
and you get some like these amazing talented players like not Will Anderson, Will McDonald, phenomenal edge rusher.
Mhm.
And then you get some really good defensive tackles out there. I've seen two where Cansey even drops to like the beginning of the second round, which would be amazing that we just talked about. Like, yeah, there's so much that you can do, so much to break down. We're already over an hour. Like it's been a while since the season since we've done this. This was a fun show. Everyone out there, thank you for making this great. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for all the chat. Thank you for liking, subscribing, rating 5 stars. Appreciate you all so much. We'll be going live on Thursday to break down the first day. We might even do a mock draft. We're still debating on what exactly to do that day. It's probably going to be big because defense, we need some talent. But ladies and gents, thank you all so much. And with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we're out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair, and you know that she